Hello, my name is Legend Raya, and together with my co-reporter, Miss Angel Ramiro. So today we will be discussing the evolution of language policies in the education in the Philippines. Education in the Philippines has undergone several stages of development in meeting the needs of the society. Education serves as a focus of emphasis, priorities of the leadership of certain periods in our national struggle as a race. Language policies in the Philippines. Spanish colonization. During Spanish colonization, Romanized letters were introduced. The decree in 1550, issued by Carlos I in Valladolid in 1550 June 7 and reissued in July 17. It demanded the teaching of Castilian and Spanish colonies, which was issued before the colonization of the Philippines. Instructions in 1596. The King of Spain Philip II sent to Tilo, governor of the Philippine colony, an instruction which stated that the learning of indigenous languages by the prayers was a etiquette for missionary. Instead, the friars should teach Spanish to natives. The decree in 1686. Carlos II issued a decree in which he complained that the former decrees issued in 1550, 1634, and 1636 had not been observed, and stated there would be a punishment if not observed. In compliance with decrees issued by the home government, the colonial government also issued several laws concerning language policies. Compared to the royal decrees, those laws presented more concrete methods, but they were equally ignored by friars. The Ordinance 1786. Governor Solis issued the following law on October 19, 1752. Later, it became Ordinance 52 in 1786. This ordinance asked the establishment of schools and prohibited any other language than Spanish in schools. Education Act in 1863 prescribed that Spanish was to be the sole medium of instruction in order to facilitate the need to learn Spanish, so that literacy in Spanish appeared to be the major purpose of the curriculum. To this end, the decree provided the natives who could not speak, read, and write Spanish 5 years after its issuance were not to be permitted to hold salaried government positions. This was the major motivation to induce the Filipinos to study the language. So now these are the failure of Spanish language education. So the reason of the failure of Spanish language education was multifaceted, some of them being enumerated as follows. So first, the Philippines is geographically distant from Spain, so royal decrees were not so forceful as in the homeland. Then second, the Spaniards were forbidden to live in native village, except friars. Therefore, natives had a few chances to practice Spanish. Then, the decrees of being originally oriented from Americans did not fit the realities in the Philippines. Then lastly, a lack of funds was another reason. Expenses for education were largely defrayed by the clergy, not by the nation treasury. Education under the Americans. So after the Spanish-American War, the U.S. government sent Thomacites for the Philippines. They made it a point to teach English to the Filipinos. The next we have the education under the Commonwealth. An organized effort to develop a common national language was started in compliance with the mandate of the 1935 Constitution. And to help counteract the American cultural influence among the Filipinos, President Quezon greatly encouraged the revival of native culture as well as desirable Filipino values, which is a code of ethics. Education under the Japanese. The Pongon culture were aggressively propagated. They were offered as compulsory courses in schools and were included in civil service tests. The commander-in-chief of Japanese imperial forces ordered the propagation of use of English and Filipino people's reliance upon the Western nations, particularly the United States and Great Britain. Article 14 of Section 6 and 8 of the 1987 Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines. So first, is to provide the legal basis for the various language policies that are being implemented in the country. Second, to resolve the issue on what the national language is, since the 1935 and 1973 Philippine charters were not clear about this.
Good day everyone, I am Angel Grace L. Ramiro, and this video is a continuation of the discussion about language policies in the Philippines.
The sixth language policies in the Philippines is the Philippine Bilingual Education Policy. It promulgated by DECS in accordance to the 1987 Constitution and a declared policy of the National Board of Education on the bilingualism. Consistent with the 1987 constitutional mandate and a declared policy of National Board of Education on bilingualism in the schools. It was first implemented in 1974 when DECS issued Department Order No. 25, 1974 entitled Implementing Guidelines for the Policy on Bilingual Education. Bilingual education in the Philippines is defined operationally as the separate use of Filipino and studies, social sciences, MAPI, home economics, practical arts, and character education. English, on the other hand, is allocated to science, mathematics, and technology subjects. Aims of the achievement of competence in both Filipino and English at the national level through the teaching of both languages and their use as media of instruction at all levels. Regional languages shall be used as auxiliary languages in grade 1 and grade 2. The goals of the bilingual education policy. First is to enhance learning through two languages to achieve quality education as called for by the 1987 Constitution. Second, the propagation of Filipino as a language of literacy. Third, the development of Filipino as a linguistic symbol of national unity and identity. Fourth, the cultivation and elaboration of Filipino as a language of scholarly discourse. That is to say, its continuing intellectualization and the maintenance of English as an international language for the Philippines and as a non-exclusive language of science and technology. The seventh one is the Executive Order No. 335, signed by then President Corazon Aquino on August 25, 1988. It enjoined all the departments, bureaus, offices, agencies, instrumentalities of the government to take such steps as are necessary for the purpose of using the Filipino language in official transactions, communications, and correspondence. It was issued on the belief that the use of Filipino in official transactions, communications, and correspondence in government offices will result to a greater understanding and appreciation of government programs, projects, and activities throughout the country, thereby serving as an instrument of unity and peace for national progress. All departments, bureaus, offices, agencies, instrumentalities of the government are enjoined to do the following. Take steps to enhance the use of Filipino in official communications, transactions, and correspondence in their respective offices, whether national or local. Assigned one or more personnel as may be necessary in every office to take charge of communications and correspondence written in Filipino. Translate into Filipino names of offices, buildings, public edifices, and signboards of all offices, divisions or its instrumentalities, and if so desired, imprint below in smaller letters that English text. Philippinize the oath of office for government officials and personnel, and make as part of the training programs for personnel development in each office the proficiency in the use of Filipino in official communications and correspondence. The Commission on the Filipino Language, formerly Institute of Philippine National Language, is ordered to formulate and implement programs and projects for all full effective implementation of the objectives expressed in the Executive Order. The eighth one is the language policy of the Commission on Higher Education. In 1994, Republic Act No. 7722, also called as the Higher Education Act of 1994, creating the Commission on Higher Education was signed. CHED shall be independent and separate from the DECS and attached to the Office of the President for administrative purposes only. Its coverage shall be both public and private institutions of higher education, as well as degree-granting programs in all post-secondary educational institutions, public and private. CHED updated the general education curriculum of tertiary courses, leading to an initial bachelor's degree covering 4 curriculum years. This was done to make the curriculum more responsive to the demands of the next millennium. Guidelines on the language policy of the Commission on Higher Education. First, we have the language courses, whether Filipino or English, should be taught in that language. And second, at the discretion of the HEI, literature subjects may be taught in Filipino, English, or any other language as long as there are enough instructional materials for the same and both students and professors are competent in the language. Courses in the humanities and social sciences should preferably be taught in Filipino. The last one is the K-12 program and the mother tongue-based multilingual education. The K-12 program sought to build proficiency through language via MTB-MLA, introduced in 2012. The mother tongue or first language refers to languages or dialects first learned by a child and with which the child identifies with. Kindergarten, grade 3 mother tongue is the medium of instruction. Grade 1, Filipino and English will be taught as subject areas. Grade 4 to 6, mother tongue transition program in which English and Filipino are introduced as media of instruction. Junior high school and senior high school, English and Filipino will become the primary language of instruction. House Bill Number 5091, an act to strengthen and enhance the use of English as the medium of instruction in the educational system. Former President and Pampanga, Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, wants to strengthen and enhance the use of the English language as the medium of instruction in the educational system, from the preschool to tertiary level. Under House Bill 5091, English shall be taught as a second language, starting with the first grade and shall be used to the MOI for English, mathematics and science from at least the third grade level. But the Filipino language shall continue to be the medium of instruction in the learning areas of Filipino and Araling Panlipunan, according to the bill. And that would be all. Thank you.